All right, so welcome to another episode, Set and Change Pod. You got your boy Beans here. We got JA.
Yes,
We got a
sir.
special guest with us, former Hill House and William and Mary wide receiver, DJ McAulay. Thank you for coming on with us today. Of
No, I appreciate you having me.
course. So I always like to jump right in, start from the beginning. So how old were you when you first started playing? And then at what age did you kind of realize like that you were a dog, that you were better than the people you were playing with?
Don't tell him this, man.
You like I'm about to get it started. You want the honest answer or the arrogant answer?
What? No,
Hey,
I
we
just want
you,
the truth.
man. Hey, yeah, tell it all, man.
Shoot. Shoot. I was late. I was a late bloomer. I didn't start playing football. We're talking about football or just sports in general.
Just football. We'll keep it there for now.
Okay. All right. So I didn't start playing football until maybe sixth grade, seventh grade. Yeah. So I wasn't that wasn't my first sport. I wasn't really trying to be in that type of contact. I was playing soccer, baseball, basketball. But everybody was coming over to West Hills with their helmet and stuff. So finally I got out there. So probably about my fifth grade. Um, and to honestly, a dog, like I realized I was a dog probably my junior year, sophomore, junior year in high school.
That late. Wow.
And I'm gonna say because honestly, I it's weird because I'm probably one of the only people that I would say that I played around so much talent that there's always somebody that you could be like, they already like that. And so there's a lot of folks I can speak up. I'm like, there's a lot of people that were in at that time we weren't discussing each other as like in a position, like what position, who best at this position. We do in high school now. It was like who's the most athletic. So I knew that I was more athletic than most people. I didn't know that I was a dog in football because I'm the one that did the most sports.
Gotcha. So
Yeah, am I lying?
You're not like growing up, like it was just if you played Pop Smith together, you ended up at Farnham together, you ended up at Pop. So it's like we
yeah,
didn't really know who was who. We just know like, yo, I grew up with DJ. Like we just played ball together, and then after you look back, you like, yo, nah, we was nice. Like it was. You start naming them people. I'm like, yo, I haven't said AJ Frankel's name in so long. Like Keith Morrison was a dog. Like Charles Bowden just from baseball. Like I'm just like, yo, he was like the home run king back then. It was
Absolutely.
like you only had only the opportunities to like, grow and expand. So there were late bloomers because people were just quiet and it just didn't stand out like that, but they all had talent.
We didn't have there was no such thing as football camps. So it's weird as we ops practice was the only time that you were either going to do that, and then at the same time, offense defense was probably one of the big camps, but nobody was going to college camps at that time and trying to figure out like who's the best receiver or specialize on a position because most of us went both ways. We played everything on special teams. Um, everybody can give everybody a crackback if you're not looking. Um, every listen, this in that era, this is a dog moment. There's so many quarterbacks at the time. So it's not like a Vic moment of we just like we go oh, we'll run in like a triple options. Like there were cats that could throw it like 40, 50 because
Pringle,
most of
yeah, Dave Pringle, and then
we all we all we all met at punt pass and kick in middle school. So you either do rotary, you do the mile run, and then you do punt pass and kick. So at punt pass and kick, you will find the best quarterback, and they all were quarterback when they got to high school. All of them.
yeah. So seeing that you and all the guys really played all the sports, what made you kind of start to specialize in football? What was it about football that was like, this is gonna be probably my thing here?
I didn't specialize in football. So honestly, if I had to make a choice, I would have specialized in track and field. So that's the one I love the most.
Mm.
Um, it's what gave me the most visibility. And so what were coaches recruiting for? It was a lot easier to get a full scholarship with football. Um, still, I say late bloomer because I mean I got hurt. I didn't really play my freshman year. I played Pop Warner my freshman year, which is that's a part of a conversation.
Yeah.
Sophomore year, I get hurt, separate my shoulder, so I don't really play so I only played 2 years really of high school, of high school football, sanctioned high school football,
Yeah.
and then within that first year, coaches were calling. They just were saying, "Hey, you're getting full offers, in different places," and so at the end of the day, it's like it would be irresponsible of me to give a bill to my parents, even though I've given them bills before. But it'd be irresponsible to get them bills because like this is what's paying the ticket. Like track and field wasn't calling. I mean, I was running fast, but you still got to compete with the rest of the nation, so or the rest of the world, and so they weren't giving out full offers, and so it just felt stupid to try to try to maintain the track and field dream. And basketball that was already out the door because I didn't have a left hand and I didn't play above the rim, and everybody plays basketball in New Haven, so I'm like I can do enough to just have a name in the city, but not enough for somebody gonna give me no money.
Yeah. So we were just gonna get to this later, but you already started just like kind of rattling off names. So if you can, who would you say were in your era the top, let's say, 5 guys from the city playing football? The 5 best that you saw during your time, during your era.
Rodney Pringle, uh, Jay Wright, Laval Morrison. I'm the way I describe these are people that I worry about. These are people that I have to,
yeah.
these people that I have to think about when playing the game. Brandon McLean, and I gotta get cross one. Don't worry about that cross.
Where did Jay Wright go?
He went across.
He went across. No, so I would think about for the position I'm in, like tackling. So I think about like big dudes like, actually I'm thinking about New Haven. So okay, Jameson and Bo. So Jameson and Bo. So I forgot I gotta add Hamden into it too. So there's some cast over at Hamden that I'm like, if we get a team,
Jameson Crowder, right?
I gotta deal with this. So if so, actually, let me back up. So I named more the New Haven folks where I'm like, these are dogs, but it'd be easy to say 10 because I still have to consider Levi. If I got to go deal with him because we're gonna see each other in passing league. There's a couple dudes over there at Brantford that's Craig, like I think what was it? Craig
Kinney.
Craig Kinney is a
Something
problem.
like that, you gotta. But that's a dude like you don't sleep well because you
gotta put a hand on him.
He's coming to give you a concussion before you even knew what a concussion was. So
so that's one of the difference between when I think about a dog, I think about this well-rounded dude, he's fast, agile, he does a lot of things versus there's just a big, strong dude that's gonna come downhill, and that's not our normal recipe in New Haven. So you get into that phone booth with somebody like, oh, he gonna do you dirty. Now this dude, he can just run you over, so you can find ways of dealing with him. But guys like that, like, but yeah, the people I name, I think about those that were very dynamic. So I would say, always worried about Rodney Pringle, always worried about Jay Wright, always can take it to the house. Willie was an issue, Brandon McLean, and then we never played West Haven, but I've watched a lot of Levi's games. So Levi or Jameson is in a space where it's like, I got to contend with this.
Both dynamic though. Yeah, they were. Yeah, Levi's older than me. So when I was a freshman, I seen him, and that was like the whole Vic type era. And it's like, yo, and then Jameson, he was older than me too. But seeing him at Hamden, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like,
they could throw. Like,
it's like I can't play high school football. Like watching them, like there's no way I could be on the field. Like that's how they looked out there. It's like there's no way anybody can play on the field with those guys.
That's why I started with the idea they were athletes because a lot of these folks still play baseball. So these were pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
Like and they were. I mean, even Charlie Rod. I mean, he was throwing from throwing a catcher and throwing folks out on big fields like on one knee, but like just to be on that, if you go on that little mound right now and think about how hard folks were throwing, like yeah, no, I'm good. Like I should have had a cage on my
Little League World Series
would
have had nothing to do with
that mound. That mound is so small, and some folks really got into their kind of like they weren't in the adult phase, but there were some young men throwing the ball really hard.
So the majority of the people that you named were either Hillhouse or Hyde. So we have to ask the question. People want us to ask this question. Which team was better? I know it's a very general type of question, but we had James Nixon on last episode, and he basically said that I think he said 04-05 Hyde team. There's not a Hillhouse team that could compete with that team. So just your thoughts. Because we always see, especially on Facebook, we see the debate, Hyde, Hillhouse. So in general, just who has the better talent?
Yeah, I saw that. Yes, so I got on the
That's a
chat.
better way.
I jumped in.
That's a
I got
better way for me to. That's a better way for me to phrase it instead of who's better. Like who had the better talent.
all right. So before I answer this, I have to preface it. So this is gonna create another argument. The only reason they were at Hyde is because their parents didn't want them to go to Cross, and they thought they would get too distracted at Hill.
Fair.
So
I've always
so
heard that
so
argument. Yeah,
so
I've heard that.
so so technically, most of them, because I know where most of them they live, they would have went to Hill House.
Mhm.
So this is just a bar none fact. So the fact they have a school, cool. I'll acknowledge it. I'll say so my year. So my last season is 03.
Okay.
So 04, 05.
You that old? You that old? You
Well,
last season?
I graduated 04. So football's in the fall.
Yeah,
So
true.
I would
Yeah,
graduate
I didn't know
04.
you
Three
was
or
that
four. Okay.
old.
But the 04 team, if you're saying the 04
Yeah,
football team would be the next year. So
yeah.
this is
So one year
Wilkes.
03
before.
fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Wilkes. This is Terrell. Um, so talent wise, and so you always got to focus on the big three. So who are their big three? Their big three is Jamie, Bruce, and I can't name the last one. But at Hill House, I can at least go with Rel. I could still throw in Jerome is there. Even at the time, I could throw Booster in. I could throw Terrell Duncan. So I'm still going to take talent wise. I'm not comparing schedule. There is more talent on the Hill House team. So
Wait. So wait. Hold on. Hold on. Wait. So you graduated. Your last season was 03, 04, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Nixon's was 04, 05, I think. No, his was he was
after
talking
that
about 04,
so
05.
yeah.
There's still overlap there of people that were there at the same time. So you don't
Yeah.
necessarily got to go to players that were after, but the guys let's compare your last season.
So
To
my last season, all right. So I believe that Hyde on paper have more talent in my last 2 years.
okay.
So folks, I mean, because honestly, we remember like you got Smith and Smith magazines coming out, Willie's and Smith, Brandon's on the map, Bruce is kind of coming up. Jamie really hadn't figured it out yet. So, but from visibility,
Yeah.
they had a lot. And so most of the folks we've always played with, and that's why I always say it's unique, where there were a lot of people I played with at Hill House that I never played with in Pop Warner. Most of my Pop Warner crew was at High. So I can name more people, but I've met more people at Hill House where I'm like, if I think about folks I play with, the Troy Browns, Danny Roach, actually finally seeing Lance play, Leon, Melvin, Mo, Rodney,
Rick, Sean, a
Rick,
whole
Sean.
bunch of
There's
dudes.
a lot of the people that are like that are stronger positions, and I'm saying like they kind of like they do what they do well. And everybody had, so I think even like a D line. So I came in, I think about our offensive and D line is 3+, but I'm a freshman at the time. So I didn't play with them, but I saw what it looked like to actually run the ball. But I say like, it's hard to assess it because when we see each other at Elm City Camp, it wasn't really live, but it was live enough where it was like, anybody that's in my class, I'm like, they were like that. There's no one under my class. I'm sorry. So say there's nobody after me that I met was like he was like that besides Jamie. So the question was who sets the standard at each school? And I would say that athletically or just in football wise, like what we came able to do, Jamie and Brandon kind of set the tone at the skill position because New Haven is known for a skill position. So does Bruce set the standard on the O line? I don't think so, but he's went the furthest. But
He's a
the
physical
reality,
specimen, like you
yeah,
see
like
him.
you can't do nothing with that. Who linebacker? So I mean, I've seen there's some linebackers that I like. I don't want to say his name, but what's you had a I think a strong safety that went to Martin Parker. Martin Parker, someone I didn't know that I met in college. He was like that. Like he was a brick wall to run against, but I had never seen him at passing league. It was never a thing. He wasn't an Elm City Camp making noise, and so really, it's hard to assess like if we played against each other, what would happen. I mean, I think JV had the opportunity one time to do that, or maybe when the freshman teams played against each other. But the talent is evenly matched, and there are names that we just don't know. Like Kyle took over. Like when we got to high school, Kyle was always like a strong defensive back. But after he got with the track and field stuff, scoring more, receive, that kind of changed the dynamic. So I think this was like the way we kind of think about Pop Warner, where it's like it's just Jay Wright. Jay Wright's going to take this punt back. He's going to run across the field. Everybody that played in that team in our era wanted to be Peter Warrick. Everybody wanted to be Deion Sanders, and that's how we set the standard. I mean, you can't name many hard hitters like that were just like, you might catch somebody on the slide, but I'm talking about like someone you want to meet in the box, because that wasn't the game plan. Who going in the box?
The only person I knew back then was probably like Outlaw. Like that was one of the
and
main,
you can't
that's what
do
everyone
nothing
looked
with
up.
that. So you see him at practice throwing from center field all the way to home plate and doing pull-ups and push-ups.
Yeah, he was strong. He was strong early though. He was strong. He was strong before we knew how to even bench press. Like he was strong.
You couldn't do nothing with him, and I remember that. So no, but other than that, like no, we weren't doing it. It's like you have safeties, but in terms of that interior line, and I think that's what everybody argues about winning and losing. Talent, like man for man, I'm like, I feel like I think I can trade. We could trade blows between Hells and High, but there's nobody at Cross that can touch us. That's not even part of the conversation. So I just to make that clear.
Yeah, I'm gonna say from seeing it from both sides, like, because I pretty much came in when both eras was like your era was finishing and then the next era was coming. Mm-hmm. Hill House had talent, Hyde had talent. I would say it's probably gonna start. I would say Hyde had probably more talent, but I think Hill House is probably deeper. That's because you got more guys that can do things, like more role players, and that's not just to.
Ooh,
honestly,
no.
I'm thinking.
Not you in trouble with the comment. Yeah. You got to explain that comment, because
so I'm thinking
to
like
have more talent and to be deeper.
So I think you guys had more, like, you had more depth, but I think Hyde beats you in talent. Like if you throw me if you throw me Willie, if you throw me Brandon, if you throw me Jamie, like those guys have enough to beat anybody in the state. And I always hear the argument they're in Class S. Class S don't matter until you get to the playoffs. There's teams on your roster that teams you play in your schedule that are Class M, Class L when you get to the playoffs. And also Class S, that's Bloomfield and Ansonia. So most teams in the state are not beating them anyway. So to even get to that point, I just think like it's unfair for Hyde because they had the talent. Like I think about like Donovan's one of probably my favorite players just growing up.
Go ahead. That's why I say this. No, but you said it. I think you said it wrong. Hyde has more depth because the people you just named.
No, I don't think so. I think they have the more playmakers. But like,
wait. So I think for clarification, I think what you're trying to say is Hyde was probably more top heavy, but Hill House is better across the board
for the depth. So like, yeah, they may have the best 4 to 5 athletes right there, but I think when you get down into like Hill House depth, as far as like the boosters, the T Wilkes who came along, the what's my man's like you had Brandon Wright, like you have guys, but they're like their eras are not the same. So like I can't use Jamie and Brandon when they're literally like probably 6-7 years apart in high school.
But you could use Jamie and Wilkes.
What year is Wilkes is my year. Wilkes is 07. I'm sorry. So what year did Jamie graduate?
Jamie had to be
he got a year before you.
06, I think.
Oh, see, it's crazy. So like even like they play at the same time, Jamie and Wilkes.
That's what I said. Jamie and Wilkes is a good comparison.
So I'm gonna go by my 07 class, which was like with Dynamo were like 06 or 07, I think. So like with the Bruce, the Martin Parkers, like those dudes, like they
have the depth. So no, so that's what I say. We have more range in terms of.
I don't think so.
No, listen, no. You have more range. No. So what you have is you have depth at the skill position, and y'all all can't be able to do
they have better skills.
We have more range, meaning like our linebackers and our line, or even our O line, we have more range. So because the people you're naming right now, like I would say, you got both screwed ups. You still got all the Nixons. You got Martin Parker. You got Bruce. You got yourself. So then you come over here and say, well, what do we have? You have Jerome. Booster. You have Terrell Duncan that's still playing.
I play with all of them, so I know. Like, yeah,
so even when the rights come in, it's at different times. But you can't. They're not all at the same position. You had 6 receivers at one time. They're all. You're not even naming Tavon. Which
I know
in his,
Tavon was the first running back I've ever met. Like, he was the
so
prototypical two back. Like, you know what I mean?
So
like,
he would if you ask him about the contribution, like, yo, there's a lot of people. So even where his talent is, he's at the lower tier of a long list of dudes. That's
it's just
you gotta,
it's just an argument that's just it's a fun argument, but it's hard.
No, it's funny because it's funny. You have 3 running backs, but you really don't have a running back by committee because you don't really have a 3 down back.
No, you just literally
we got Sean Hines. I can go back to Terrell Duncan and I can grab a Cheeks or something like that. But y'all really have the same person. You have 5 of the same person standing next to each other, waiting into the next year to say when you'll get a chance. You got the same receivers. You got to wait for somebody to leave.
My only thing that's blurry with them is like I know the names of like the top guys is the guys like you said before. The guys like we don't know that went to Hyde, that went there. That was like, oh snap, you did ball there. Like you forget people because they were so top heavy. Like those are the names that you just always heard every week. I'm just like, you hear Jamie.
There's a guy I'm missing. There's a guy that there's a strong safety that went to Southern, but he was like that at the time. Like he at Hyde, he was like that.
It wasn't that much coverage either back then. So like if you ain't see it in the paper, you ain't really see it. Like it wasn't like social media where you can see like, oh, safety took a pick back. Like times changed now.
It's like actually here's a better example. That's why we talk about depth and talent. You're right, because the number ones wherever they went to Harrison Cross. Yeah. They're just number ones went to Harrison Cross. So however people viewed it, and then I had everybody else in the middle that filled those gaps. Got everybody. But all the number ones went to either Hells or Cross. And then and that was
because that's all it was.
That's the Pop Warner story. Because you take the number ones, all the MVPs, they go to Hells or Cross, and then those that are really good. That's why I say when you're in a space that's really oversaturated with talent, individuals kind of went to Hyde because they thought the politics of Hill House or Cross was going to keep them from getting on the field. Was really not the story, but also parents were like, they didn't want to go to that old Hill House that had the trailer in the back, that had the lime green floor that we would do registration for. But the reality was like, what are you afraid of?
Yeah, it's always the stigma of
because
Hill House is not winning. You can play Pop Warner
anyway.
Yeah.
So what you afraid of? What's gonna happen here? That wasn't happening in any other middle school. That was
it was just
that was what it was.
Yeah.
Oh nah, they're gonna be too distracted, so we gotta go over here and then act like I get more disciplined at Hyde than Hill House. For real?
So, I don't know about that.
More discipline because you gotta wear a belt?
I don't want to stay here too long. We covered a lot of this, and at the end of the day, it's always going to be opinion. Everybody's gonna.
It's just fun because
I got respect for everybody though. So I mean, for real.
Facebook eats it up. So it's like it comes up every so often. So you got to entertain it because one thing I know K Watt gonna show his safe. He gonna say.
I only jump in one time of the year, man. I don't get it. I'll get too involved. Some folks make it their life mission to make comments every day, and keep folks in check.
Yeah. So, but I want to end this part of the conversation with this. I don't know if the person was just talking or if there's any truth to this, but I was told by a couple of guys from Hyde that they attempted to schedule Hill House and Hill House refused during that time. Do you know if there's any truth to that?
I heard of a 7-on-7 that they were trying to schedule. I've heard of it before. The only time, but I think I've had a chance to go against Hyde at Elm City Camp. Now, if somebody said they scheduled something where they all put pads on or something like that, like, to be honest, like, that don't even make no sense. But on a 7-on-7, I'm like, yeah, I think I've heard that. And I think there's been opportunities, but I think that people think that one moment is going to put the conversation to rest. You can break bad today, and then tomorrow you can just have a off day. But I think the talented people that I know, like, I mean, I've done one-on-ones with Brandon, and I'm like, there's times I'm like, yo, he's moving too fast. And there's certain things that we just do different. Brandon has way more agility, and I have way more speed. We just different people. We talk about like I think more about like who had the larger upper side where it's like potential. So a lot of folks like route running wasn't a real thing. We know a lot of receivers that are
That
not route
really
runners.
wasn't taught. Really, yeah.
They
That
just
just
catch the
don't
ball and just
and go.
go. And
Yeah,
so then now it's like this is all about watching their athleticism in the open field, their ability to catch punts, their ability to kick, like what value do they bring? Um, but yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I don't know if they scheduled the game, but I'm like, it just depend. It depends who there, because because like quarterback wise, I think Corey was a true quarterback. I think Hyde has always found somebody that has played quarterback at Pop Warner, but really wasn't a quarterback and was not going to play quarterback in next space. And that's why I always measure that, because I'm like, I probably if I had to do it over, I would like to say I would play quarterback, but I think it's too limited.
Definitely.
Man, I know I got a cannon.
here you go, man.
So that's kind of a good segue to get back to you and your career. So how did you end up at William and Mary? How did you make that choice out of all the schools that might have been recruiting you? What other schools wanted you?
Minnesota, UConn. I had a recruited walk on to Georgia, recruited walk on to Florida State, Rhode Island, Bucknell. Um, I think what it came down to, unfortunately or fortunately, parents make the conversation like, what if you don't go to the, you get a job? So you find that you're trying to find a school that has the best reputation and that's going to create the greatest future opportunity. Um, I know I know better than that now. So I went to prep school at Westminster. The offers that I had, I felt like I could have did more. I only played 2 years of high school, as I said. So I decided to go to prep school route. So I went to prep school with Ray Allen and Dave Pringle at Westminster. All up there. Coach Robinson was actually from Syracuse at the time, or actually from Pittsburgh, and he took a job at Syracuse. So we're kind of like, we believe that there's a Division 1A offer that's waiting for us, and we just need to get into a bigger pool to do that. So that was a choice. I came out of there with the Wayne Mary. But my first year of college, man, I was trying to get out of there. Like I was going to, I would play. I played as a true freshman, but I would go to coach. I would go to the opposite team's locker room, and I knew if I knew the recruiting coordinator, I'm like, get me out of here. I said,
So
I don't. I said, I
you was
don't
trying
like
to get
this.
a you was
I
trying to
said,
get
I
in the
don't like
portal
this.
before the portal.
I was like, let me go. Like, and I'm like, I don't care. I said, out here. I was like, Hofstra. Like, Hofstra was a place I should have. That would have probably been a. But and then I don't know because Hofstra program ended.
Yeah.
So when that program ended, I don't know if I would have been in the middle of that and still trying to find a home. But Hofstra was in the backyard.
Wait, so
We were
what was it? What was it that wanted? What reason did you want out of William and Mary so bad?
cultural. It was a bad cultural fit. Um, at the time. So I got there just transitioning, dealing with the coaches. The coach that recruited me actually left. So I recruited by Coach Pletch. And before I even got there, he took a job. He took a new job. So the person that recruited you, who have your relationship with your recruiting coordinator, is now gone. So you feel like, okay, this is now an uphill battle. You don't know the space. College is going to be a transition. And I was trying to get out of there. I was like, this is not working. And it more so was the culture, because I tell athletes now, like, find a proper day to visit campus. I visited William and Mary during Christmas break. So anybody knows during Christmas break,
Ain't nobody there. Ain't nobody there.
nobody's here. So it's like you're not really getting a full college.
You just seen the buildings like, oh, that's nice. Like I can come here.
That's dope. Feel nice. That's cool. They take you to a party. Tell me there's things happening. So they take you to took you to Newport News. They take you to Hampton to a club that they already know folks at. But that wasn't itself. The real goal was like, if this don't work, will this degree travel? Now, if you are like even now, like having a full PhD, teaching as a professor, listen, how you show up on an interview, it don't matter what school you are. Depending on how you show up and what you're able to offer, and where your value is, you can be at, and I'm not even going to name a school to even kind of set it up as if it's like of a particular class or low class, but you can go anywhere and go there and dominate in any space. And I think that once I realized that, then you don't. I didn't have to choose this school, like saying, and I can't. It's not a perfect comparison. Like if Yale's an offer on the table, do you take Yale or do you go to like a Stanford or do you go to like a Robert Morris? Well, if you're career wise, yeah, Yale's probably one of those. Ivy League is probably the only space that's kind of an absolute because someone sees that in a resume, it travels. But anything right under that where it's like the Ivy League of the South, you don't always know. So now you have to do what you have to do. I mean, I've seen folks flourish that come out of I don't know Southern. And not knocking it, but it's a way smaller school, less visible, Eastern, Western, Central, all those same schools and have dominated in their professional careers. And so making a decision, I probably wouldn't make a decision with that particular thing on mind.
Gotcha. So speaking specifically in terms of on-field stuff, going from high school to college, and you had the prep school, so that helps. What were some like the biggest adjustments in terms of the speed of the game, the competition? Like what were the biggest adjustments from one level to the next?
I was faster than everybody when I got there. I was the fastest person there when I got there. So that was so speed. So the speed of the game is really about. This is kind of telling a tale. Um, I ended up I ended up going in as a corner, and then I wanted a receiver because I was probably 170, 180 pounds when I left. And I knew that college running backs were probably like 220. I was like, nah, I'm not trying to be on nobody's box.
He be thinking about the other side of it.
I'm like, nah, I got time to be on nobody's TV, be out here getting ran over and stuff like that. So I was like, forget that. Now, what no one told me is like in the first year, you like you go put size on. So the first year, I'm like 195, 200. So I went to coach. I'm like, can I go back on defense? Because when you have to have an East or West Coast kind of offense, it slows your game down because you're thinking. So I didn't come out. I came out of like a regular passing tree 921. Okay. I know what 921 is. So I know where I'm at. I know power, I know strength and weakness. I know how we're counting from strength to weakness. And I know what to do. So that made it easy for me to play fast. Now, when someone's like uh D left Z Omaha 6,
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I'm like, which you lead the huddle like
Yo, what I got? Yo,
oh I go that way? Okay, I got it. What I do? And you whisper to the dude like, so you're not so that's hard to play fast because now any receiver will tell you you get better when you don't have to run routes, but you understand circumstance as you're watching tape. So whether this dude's in a so mind you, you talking about high school, we come like 1, 2, 3.
hey,
It's like
18 bootleg, like yo,
A Tampa 2. What's that mean? So the linebackers dropping back, dropping the covers, they showing 3, going 2, running 1. Like they got a cloud coverage, they don't rock the safety over. I'm like,
oh,
so now you're like your landmark for a dig, your landmark has changed. Like you now have to operate, you have to be in relationship with this quarterback, and you're playing as a freshman. He done been here, so now you're playing slow because now you're kind of like over here. So now you're running down the field trying to avoid people,
you
trying to
counting
find the
your
right
steps,
spot.
like yeah, like yo, wait, that was
Right here.
seven
Oh,
step,
I'm
yeah.
down 10 years. I'm at 12. So it was like even that was relearning because in relationship, if the quarterback expects you at 10 and you at 12, it's a problem. If you breaking at 8, then the DB knows what's going on. It still messes up your relationship. So now you got to pick. So all that stuff threw me off because I didn't know what I didn't know at receiver. Um, Even though I was fast, the the technical work wasn't there. But DB, it was like, okay, this kind of like freelance. You like you're playing in zone or you're playing man. And my thing is like, if you're not faster than me, then I don't have to worry about anything. And if I'm just as strong as he is, then I'm halfway there. So the rest of the stuff I can technically work out as a freshman. But I got thrown in trying to like do what the juniors already knew, and that playbook was thick.
So
It was thick.
how long did it take you before you really felt comfortable with the offense?
don't think I ever. I don't think I
He
ever got
never got.
comfortable with the offense. I think that they just started calling plays that they knew was gonna work. Like I don't think I ever felt like you feel like I get comfortable. So it's funny. That's a good question. He said you get comfortable with the offense, or do you get comfortable with what you have to do? Because comfortable with the offense as a quarterback, like you know what everybody else. Because even when you
Yeah,
doing it, you started telling to the young boy like, "Oh, yes, what you got to do over here." So I got comfortable with X, Z, and the Y, and then the H. So I'm good there. Now, if if coach want to put me at H and I gotta go slide over here, and he want to run another reverse, and the question is, if he calls the play, am I the tailback? I don't know, coach. Tell me what you want me to. Coach, just tell me what you want me to do. I'll do it. I know you got to play. I know you have. Just tell me what you want me to do. I'll do it. I know I'm simple. So let me be able to do what I need to do. So for me, that's why if you give me a hitch, I'm gonna do way more because now I don't want to deal with your all these different movements. But understanding as a coach, like the like how we become better as players requires our ability to kind of know like these are the particular challenges. As a coordinator, have what it means to actually have a offense that can move around and everybody knows like tight end step off the line, step on the line, he motion over here, dude come over here. Like you can have fun with it and like know the rules. Like I don't know, coach. I think I'm on the line. There was so much I didn't know. Like we were so busy playing.
Yeah.
We grew up playing and scoring touchdowns and winning games for however amount of years we played in high school in Pop Warner, but I didn't know the game.
we didn't really learn football. Like it was just the intricacies of it.
Yes.
Everyone got the numbering
Just
system,
give me
but
the reverse, coach. I know what to do.
like
Like
we didn't
now,
use a Z, we didn't use an X, we didn't use a Y to trade or shift. Like we didn't. Only person I was probably advanced like that was Coach Cherry. Like he was trying to have
it was
the
like
playbook.
it's like the same when we talk about defense. Defense talks about like boundary corners and field corners, and they
It's
rock
different.
based on where the boundary. So this was like no, forget X and Z. Like you're on the right and you're on the left.
Yeah, you the
And
right
coach would
corner,
just
you the
call
left
play.
corner.
Coach would call plays, and if it was twins, if you are on the left, then the guy just comes over here. So there's twins. Now this is what it is. Eight twins, whatever, but it's not. It's just you are right and left. We don't switch and swap. So we don't even worry about right and left and where does Z need to go. You play this, but you play that side. And that's what it
Yeah,
is.
that's how
And
you simplify
that
it.
was it.
But
And that's it. Like it was just like, yo, let's just make it clean. Because I felt like we just didn't do it. We didn't spend enough time
we didn't
like
have it though.
what
Like
is this?
like you learn that stuff at camps now. You learn that stuff at clinics. Like we didn't have clinics for teaching football. Like we just go from one sport to the next. Like August 1st come, yo, you got football now. Like they got a game in 2 weeks. That's it. So it wasn't really like a teaching moment. We just had to learn on the fly. And if you had the brains to do it, like you picked it up or you didn't. That's just simply what it was for us.
That's the I think those were one of the challenges that I was kind of just like if I would have had that would have made
A lot of
things
difference because now
so
you're not thinking.
so
Now
much
you can just play ball.
and that's kind of that's all you wanted to do. That's all I wanted to do was play ball. I wanted to play ball. But I mean, I think it's funny, man. Thinking about it now, it's just like the things that I think I wanted out of sport, I got, but I didn't really have I never had a plan for sports.
Yeah.
So on that subject, Jay, you coach high school football. Do you think we are kind of doing a disservice to the kids by not exposing them to more of what they'll see on the college level? Or do we just think the average high school player doesn't have the capacity to take in all that stuff?
That's from like a you just gotta evaluate your players. Like certain teams could do it, certain teams can't. Like you could see types of schemes you want to run, but if you don't have the personnel and like they just don't have the capacity to remember it or do it, you just can't do it because you're gonna work yourself just trying to implement a way of doing it, and they just can't do it. So you just got to be true to the personnel that you have. Like my guys, I
He
run
sound
a
like he
three
can't. He
three.
sound like he can't coach you.
I could coach it, but it's like you got to also. So like me being as a defensive coordinator is different for me now because all I knew growing up was all I need to know was what a DB has to do. I don't need to worry about the D line. I don't have to worry about a linebacker. I need to know if I'm in coverage, am I locked on somebody? Is it like two read? Like I learned that way. So now it's different. Like, okay, I can't run a four down if I don't have a three tech like that, or I have a strong middle linebacker. So what is my personnel good for? So it's honestly teaching me of like how to evaluate my players. So I run a 3-3 stack now, and I have like stout outside hybrid outside linebackers. So I got like 4 or 5 guys that could be safeties, but they can also be outside linebackers. So I got a mean nose guard and a mean free safety, which is perfect for it. So now my nose can get double teamed, where my backers are free and my safety is +1 in the run game. It's like I didn't know this stuff growing up. Like I'm not thinking about run game, run fits, like knowing where my guys need to be, if it's a counter, or if it's stretch, or if it's motion. It's a lot that goes into it. But growing up, I didn't know. I'm just like, oh, I just play football. Like I knew how to play football, so I'll figure it out. Just tell me I got a post, tell me I got a fade, or tell me I'm pressed on, or tell me if I'm 7 yards off in coverage. I can do that, but it's definitely I would say for guys like that want to be coaches or just want to grow your game, just go to like listen to clinics, listen to coaches, because it's always free game. Like no coach is gonna keep anything from you. I meet with a coach at Sacred Heart every like 2 weeks, and we just talk ball, because hearing it from a college coach, I can kind of simplify it to the high school level. So it makes it easy for me. So I'm just like, all right, like how do you see this? Because you'll be amazed at how coaches see things and be like, like how are you thinking about that? But they just slow the game down and just watching film. Honestly, you learn how to watch film, you could do anything.
So that's why I'm not gonna jump on this head right quick. The reason I said that is because like I agree with you. So the personnel question is definitely important as a coach, a new coach, as an experienced coach. When you use the word can, so right now, like in probably 10 minutes, I gotta run because we're at this conference and they talk about like how do you teach your team? And some coaches have perception about particular athletes, and it's a can. And that can't moment is like he's not gonna figure it out. Now I've never been in no remedial classes. So, coach, like either you have time to explain it to me or effectively communicate it with me, or maybe you ain't got enough time in your schedule to communicate it effectively for me to understand. But you got to figure out what that strategy. Can't is a can't is an option of a particular learning challenge. So when you say you can't, he might not have the ability to do it at the highest level. But the question is whether his speed is slow or anything else. It's not a can. It's just that I might not have a dude that can get over the top and get there fast enough because I have a fast tight end, but I have a slow receiver. And I'm trying to do some 2-by-1 relationship.
Yeah.
But the tight end's at the same level. So right now it kind of clogs things up because this dude can't really get that safety out of there.
Yeah.
Or get that corner out of there. So can't is not a thing. And so when you said even Sacred Heart, I'm like, I've coached, I was the director of football operations and a receiver coach with Coach Nofree at Sacred Heart.
Oh,
So
Coach Nofree, yeah. So
yeah, so
yeah.
Coach Butterworth is not there anymore, but I spent 2 years there on that team that won their first championship, and so can't in the coaching space, and I always think about how we and I'll say this and be completely honest and transparent. Well, I'm gonna this by my topic. We dumb down a lot of things for our black athletes because we want to get them to get to that athleticism, but you don't
Yeah.
treat them as if they need to understand the intricacies of the game.
Yeah.
It's
So
short because you won't go to nowhere else in Darien, and if you went to
yeah.
Darien, you would have to learn it to play. They're not going to be sitting here just giving you this specialized playbook.
So I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why I can't, because where I coach at, like inner city Bridgeport, there's not a lot of depth. So like literally my starting backer is like the only backer. So like a guy that's behind him never played football. So it's like it's not saying that I can't. It's like if I teach it, now you got to play on the fast. And how we play football there is like no huddle. Like our offense is muddle huddle. You got to get it. So like trying to teach a guy his first year playing football is high school football. So now it's like I have to teach you where you need to be. Like first things first, you need to know how to line up, and you need to know what exactly you're looking at, because you could throw someone to a fire and that's on me. Like I can't just throw you out there if you're not ready. So I say I can't because the time that we're limited to high school players, like it's
Well,
right now.
you know the rule change though.
Yeah, now we meet 2 times a week, for 2 hours up until OTAs in August. But then you need those guys to show up. I can't force you to show up now because it's not mandatory. So yeah, maybe I want to teach. You know what? I want to teach you how to play. A gap mug and learn how to drop. Play a rap. But if you don't show up, I can't do it.
Then I don't have to play you then.
exactly. But then it's also like I got one guy there, so like who else is about to, so if something happens to my middle linebacker, he has to go in. But if you don't show up and you have to go in, there's no one else to put you
No,
there.
he can't. No, he can't go in.
He
Remember, he said
can't.
he can't. Hey,
I
now he
can't.
no,
Look at
no,
that kid.
no,
You see
no,
that?
no.
You
You're
see
not.
that, coach?
Hey, you got it. You got no.
Can't.
Now he no, not that he no, no, not that he can't. He can't go in because he
He
don't know
can't.
the
But
assignment. No, no, that's no. This
so,
this whole different. He can if he would have shown up, but he
yeah.
didn't show up. So now I can't play you.
So that's
Cool.
why I'm saying I can't teach it because
But no, no,
it's
no, 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 hold on. But and this is the coaching point. It's like if I have to contend with that strategy, if this man go down, then whatever plan we had after that need to be a plan B with people that we
yes,
have. So that dude that's very basic, and you tell him to just he know where to line up at. That's plan B.
yeah, yeah. So the plan B is everyone has to show up. So like he could miss, but like listen, I'm telling this is real life because like college, like you get the guys like you know where they at classes. Yo, these dudes out of school, you may not see these dudes for a few days. And there's no knock on them. It's just the environment that they're in. Like their parent, when you go to practice, your pops was always there. Like mom show up. These kids have no support. So now it's like if we're not there on them, then they're not showing up. So it's like, okay, like we could do this, but I can't because
I
so and
I
so.
so I love you for that because obviously you're doing the work in Bridgeport. So I think that was a New Haven narrative a couple years ago about not
In the city, yeah, I know.
I'm
I
not
hear
gonna
it.
not,
Like,
if listen. I've coached already. I've been back for at least 8 years, and so there's people that I either have tracked down that they know what the schedule is. I've had the combines. They call me. They ready to work out. So the question is like I know how to get engagement. Now I get it. Like some folks just they hear when it's nice. They're waiting for the season. They got other priorities that they need to go do,
definitely.
and they're not gonna be there. So I get it. But it's different. I'm saying New Haven is different because when you are here as a coach and the kids know who you know how to get to them. Now if I took a job in Hartford right now, like I don't know niggas in Hartford, they don't show up, they
Yeah,
don't
so they
show
ain't
up.
gonna, yeah,
So
yeah,
they don't know me like that. But I'm like, if I'm in New Haven and I'm coaching, helping Walt, or I'm helping folks over at Cross or any other school or career, this is simple.
yeah,
Now there's gonna be some knuckleheads that's not gonna show up, but for the most part, there's way more buy-in now. Like
definitely, yeah.
you go to Bonefield right now and see them in the summer in the middle of the heat, they getting work
It's
in. So
they grind, yeah, they definitely
like
doing it, yeah.
before, like I was young, I was somebody who was like, I ain't coming to the weight room because I don't want to get strong. I gotta play basketball.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I was allergic to it. It didn't hit me until college. Like I was allergic to it. Like I'm not going. Like
right now there's 30, 40 kids right now on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at Bowmanfield working with their coaches because this is their coach LeQuint is there and everything else. And Coach LeQuint don't play that though.
yeah,
So it's so to say what that is, I'm like, yeah, if they're not committed, that's fine. So for me, I say to them, first we have the developmental question. If you tell me you want to get to the league or you want to go to college, but you're not willing to show up every day, then you need to stop dreaming about this thing, and I need to stop paying attention.
yeah, definitely.
Period. Like I'm not even. It's not even a. It's not even a. It's not. You can't do it kind of thing. It's like you don't really want it that much.
Want it, yeah.
It's
You
cool.
ain't putting
And
the
when
work.
you meet a coach, that can deliver it to you and spoon feed it to you like that, then more power to you. But right now, that's not what's happening outside. So if you're not showing up, I can't throw you in a game. I'm not worried about your mom. I'm not worried about your dad. You're not present. And I'm telling
Yeah,
your mom and dad the same thing that when you finally get a job, even if you was a camp counselor and you can't be on time and do what's needed,
getting
then
fired. Yeah,
don't expect them to put you in the prime seat when you want to be at the splash pad instead of being out here
yeah. No
working in the
offense. Yeah,
working at
yeah,
the layout in the front desk where there's no AC. Come on, man. Like
So
for real.
this ain't
I think I
this is what it is.
I think this is a separate conversation than where we started, and a very important conversation. And I know you got to go, so I don't want to shortchange this conversation. Maybe we can get you on again at some point. And we could talk like about this because this is important. The way things work in inner city and how it varies from why some of the kids are a little bit behind and they aren't at the same level of some of the other kids. So I definitely would like to get you back on, but I know you got to go. So I just wanted to end with if you, as a coach, as someone who played on the college level, if you have like some quick advice for those high school student athletes that want to make it to college, that wanted to make it to the league, what are a couple of quick things that you would give?
I think one of the quickest things that I would say to them is focus on your development. Be around individuals and ask the appropriate questions to figure out where do you want to go. And I think sometimes you need a mentor. So it's like like, right, I run Athlete Alliance. Athlete Alliance responsibility is to have players that meet other players that are from their community. So like same thing we're on is that we all played. So I'd rather have, if I have a young kid that's playing baseball, oh, can you have a conversation with him about X, Y, and Z? Now you might talk to him about the game, but there's certain things that I kind of observe that he's weak at. And so part of that is like telling student athletes, be open to criticism. The right kind of criticism. And I'm saying the difference between humbling and humiliating. Humble enough that I'm willing to take criticism that I can at least look at it and say, I needed to hear that, or I needed to work on that. Humiliation is a way people kind of approach this kind of feedback where it's like, you're going to try to break them. And part of you trying to break them, there's a possibility that they may become defensive. And coaches need to be mindful of how they have language around like what kind of culture are you trying to set up for your athletes? Because I'm always management, leadership, and development. You can't develop, someone's not going to develop from you if they don't want to hear from you. And if you don't want to be the kind of leader that thinks about those particular things, it's not making you weak, it's not watering down the culture, but the only way to be effective, he has to understand what the objective is. And so there's two things that happen with coaches, like really think about what kind of leader you want to show up as. Because if outcomes matter, then your leadership matters. And the way you manage your own leadership and manage your team requires that. Because if you can't develop this group, they will not ascend. You will not arrive at your outcome on the field, and those student athletes will not arrive where you want them to be. So the rest of this shit is just lip service. So it really is a larger conversation about what the culture space wants, and be able to sit down and set up open lines of communications, mission statements about what do you want to do and what do you plan to do with your time. And if you're not willing to do with your time, please don't waste no one else's. Don't waste your peers talking in the locker room about what you're gonna do when you show up on those days. Don't waste the coach's time. Don't waste your parents' time trying to go to work and find you those cleats and those gloves and everything you need so you can look nice. Just know, and then it's okay when it doesn't happen, because we had this conversation, and your inability to be consistent reflects the fact that this really wasn't what you wanted.
You need this clip in the locker room, man.
Bang bang.
Yeah,
it's no way to put it.
And you start the year with that. So whoever's not showing up, you already know what the rule
Yo,
is.
yeah, we already had this talk.
I'm not mad with you. I'm just telling you that this is what it is, and this is the only way we're gonna get there. And this is how it's gonna happen in college or happen in the pros. This is where it's gonna happen. So if you're not willing to do that, then ain't no love lost. I'll still dap you up when I see you, but you don't want this like this.
Yeah.
So you can't be a dog.
Nah.
That's so true.
Yo, I got to roll, bro.
Yeah.
Nah. Appreciate having you on.
I got
we'll
you, bro.
get you on again, yo. We definitely appreciate having you on.
Appreciate y'all, man.
No problem. We'll talk to you later.
Peace.